My name is Gavin Morton, and I'm with HR.com, and the HR Genius Bus has rolled into San Francisco. We're here today visiting with CEO Carl Saunders Edwards of Adeption. Now, Carl, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Tell me how you came up with the name.
The word adept means to be good at something or to be adept at something. And the way you get adept at things is through taking action and doing things. You can't learn how to be good at something, you actually have to act your way into it. So we combined the two and then discovered it was a retired word, which meant the art of attainment. So we're pretty excited to bring Adeption back into the vocabulary.
That's great. So talk to me about your noble purpose, your differentiators.
From a noble purpose point of view, we really believe in leadership development. We think that there is a lot that people can learn, and the science in the last few years has been really solid that people can get better at things, especially leadership development. So we believe that democratizing leadership development, making the great things that leadership development can do and achieve for people far more accessible, more repeatable, and more scalable is our noble purpose.
That's a wonderful noble purpose. Now, we talked earlier about practice. You talk about democratizing. How does Adaption do that?
Great. Thanks, Gavin. There's three key things we really focus on, and one is content. So you don't know what you don't know. But we harness artificial intelligence to target content directly at your objectives. What are you trying to achieve as a person, as a professional? So we ask a couple of questions first and then match curated content directly to you that's likely to help you with your challenges. Second thing is community. We don't change our behaviors and we don't do things unless others around us are doing it. And we're social animals, so we take cues from others. So I may learn some great content, go back to work, and unless the people around me are doing those things, I'm quickly going to throw that content out because I want to fit in. So we have some very strong social tools to build a sense of community and allow you to share what you're learning and what you're trying to do. And then finally, we're very strong on commitment. You don't change your behaviors and build new pathways in your brain unless you do things. So there's a challenge that we talk a lot about, which is the knowing-doing gap. So we know things, we don't necessarily do them. So Adaption focuses very strongly on post-learning accountability. Not just have you remembered something, but what are you going to do about it? How are you going to achieve your objectives?
Carl, talk to me more about how Adaption helps an HR professional do their job.
Great question. So many HR professionals are overloaded with what they're trying to achieve. They have a lot of different demands, and they're also the practitioners who know a lot of the science about what works. And we've talked to a lot of HR and learning development professionals who know that to put in place a real professional development or leadership development program, it's not running a single event. Yet they're under all sorts of pressure to deliver and tick the box on delivering single events, and yet in their heart they know that that's not really going to create the behavior change and the development that they want. What Adaption can do is it can let them run that single event and still deliver a true behavior change developmental experience that plays out over 3 or 4 months and gets their people taking on the job actions, reflecting and sharing the insights of those actions, the sort of things that it normally takes multiple workshops or coaching engagements to achieve. And I think that's something HR professionals are pretty excited about.
So the HR professional or the learning development professional can easily scale this across an entire organization with their effort.
Modern organizations have people of influence everywhere. You can't just rely on hitting the C-suite or top talent anymore with a learning program or a developmental program. And what we can do is really help the HR professional get impact across the entire organization at scale without increasing cost.
So you mentioned new organizations, and we talked earlier about Agile organizations. How are organizations that want to be Agile accepting Adaption?
Yeah, great question. Particularly well, we find that because we come from a metaphor that's not so much just learning, it's more about taking action and following through. Organizations that are agile or in a wanting to be very proactive rather than reactive and enable the entire workforce to be taking initiative and planning things and doing things, are very receptive to our message. In many ways, our methodology is informed by a lot of science, but really a lot of practice from software development as in Agile processes, rapid iterations, small experiments and workouts. That's what we're asking people to do for themselves. And also from the manufacturing revolution that was led through Lean and Toyota. So where the idea of continuous improvement happens through a continuous number of iterations. Really, we're applying both of those fields to people. So organizations that have got that in their DNA love what we offer.
And how many organizations like that have you guys started working with?
So here in the US, we're still early days. We're the accent, which by now I'm sure you've noticed, is from New Zealand. So we do more than just play rugby and sail in New Zealand. We have some organisations. So we're working with at any given time 5 of the top 10 organisations in New Zealand, and we've got some great case studies out of that. Here in the US now, we've got 2 Fortune 500 companies are well into rollouts and a number of other smaller ones. We've got clients in Singapore and in Europe as well. So,
well, there are many companies that are saying they want to go Agile, so that's a good lineup,
exactly.
Right? So, one other question for you: what's next for Adaption?
We've got some exciting things planning. We're, as we were talking about earlier, we generate enormous data sets that are really interesting. So I mentioned AI. We've got data sets of what people are intending to do, the actions that they want to plan to put in place in order to meet their objectives, how other people react to those, because I can share what I'm doing and then I reflect on how it went, and I can share that with other people in my organization, and I do, and that stimulates them to take action and learn, and also how they react to it. So where I'm going is we're building data sets that are allowing us to do some very interesting predictions and research. So what are the things that leaders or people within organizations do that really shift the dial and make a difference? And then we can share those insights to future users of Adeption and leaders to sort of say, somebody in a situation like yours, we're already sharing what other leaders or other people have done, but we're able to be far more pointed and say, there's a 70% likelihood that if you take an action around this, you're going to get a good result, and that'll be based on real data sets. We really want to up the productivity of individuals and organizations, and that's what we're investing in moving towards.
Well, Carl, thank you very much for teaching us about Adaption. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully we can do a follow-up interview somewhere in New Zealand.
I'd enjoy that. Thanks very much, Gavin. Cheers.